Hello everyone, in this video we're going to go over the Book A, Unit 16 vocabulary words, numbers 1 through 20. Let's get started. Our first word is army. Army is a noun, and army is a large group of people brought together by a country to protect the country and fight its enemies. Let's look at the example. People may join the army when they are 18. And another way to say army is soldiers. So again, the army is just the group of people that protect a country. Most countries have an army like this, and when there are enemies that are coming to hurt the people in the country or do something that is wrong, then the army's job is to protect that country. And usually they have some weapons such as a gun and other things to help protect their countries. The next word is awful. Awful is an adjective and it means causing a very bad feeling. Let's look at the examples. The storm was awful last night. Or the garbage had an awful smell. Another way that you can say awful is by using the word nasty. So when you want to use awful, think about something that maybe tastes very bad or looks very bad or feels very bad. Then you can call it awful. Just like the smell of garbage. We can say the garbage smelled awful. Or maybe you got some food that tastes very bad, so you can say this tastes awful. The next word is between. Between is a preposition and it means in the area that separates two things. So something that is between is the thing that is separating the two other things. Let's look at the example. Bob stood in line between Joe and Kate. So if you look at this sentence, there's three people. Maybe here is Joe and here is Kate. So Bob, he's standing in between Joe and Kate, so that means Bob would be right here in the middle. And let's look at the pictures here. We can say the apple is between the boxes, or I can say the kitten is between the puppies. Our next word is bullet. Bullet is a noun, and a bullet is a small metal object shot from a gun. So inside of a gun, people put these bullets here. That is the thing that shoots out of the gun. Let's look at the example. The soldiers fired bullets at the enemy. The next word is confident. Confident is an adjective. You can use it to describe a person, and it means having trust or faith, or sure that something will happen. Someone who is confident believes that something will happen, or they believe that they can do something. Let's look at the example. We are confident that our team will win. So when you feel confident, you feel strong and powerful. You think that nothing can stop you. Someone who is confident is not shy. They always want to raise their hand and participate. Even if they get something wrong, they still try. That is called being confident. So are you a confident person? Do you always believe that you can do something even if it's difficult? The next word is ignore. Ignore is a verb and it means to refuse to recognize or notice. For example, she ignored me at the dance. When you ignore someone, even though they are talking to you, you pretend that you are not listening to them, or you maybe pretend that you don't care. So I can say, the girl ignored the boy by putting on headphones and reading a book. So she's not listening to anything that this boy is saying. She is ignoring him. Have you ever ignored someone? Or has someone ever ignored you? How does it make you feel when you ignore someone or you get ignored by someone? Our next word is participate. Participate is a verb and it means to take part in an action or activity. For example, Did you participate in the class discussion? So when you participate, you take part in the action. That means that you do the action. So in class, if the teacher asks a question and you raise your hand and try to answer the question, then you are participating. Or if you are doing a project with some people and everyone does one part of the project, that means everyone is participating. If someone does not work together, or maybe in class they don't want to talk or they don't want to raise their hand, then that person is not participating. The next word is photographer. The photographer is a person whose job is to take pictures with a camera. So it's a job that someone has. Let's look at the example. The photographer took many good pictures at the wedding. So again, a photographer is the title we use to talk about the job where someone takes pictures. That is their job. So I can say she is a photographer, or the photographer took a beautiful picture of the mountains. Also, please be careful with the word photographer because many people will try to say it as a photographer, but that is not the correct way to say it. It is pronounced together as photographer, photographer. Our next word is reduce. Reduce is a verb and it means to make less in amount or size. For example, the teacher reduced the amount of homework this year. Or, the store owner reduced some of the prices. So maybe you've heard of reduce, reuse, and recycle when we talk about ways to help the planet Earth. So reduce means to use less or to make less. So when we talk about reducing something, we can talk about maybe reducing plastic use. Instead of using plastic bags, we can use paper bags. Or we can reduce the amount of water that we use when we brush our teeth or when we take a shower. So anytime that you reduce, you are making something less. But we don't only have to use this word for talking about helping the planet. We can use it for anything, reducing homework, making less homework, or reducing prices, so we lower the money that something costs. Can you think of anything that you can reduce? Our next word is relative. Relative is a noun, and relative is a person who belongs to the same family as someone else. For example, my relatives are coming to visit over the holidays. So relative is basically your family. And we usually use relative to talk about people who are not exactly your close family, maybe like your aunts or your uncles. We can say they are my relatives. And usually we use relatives to talk about people who are living a little bit further away from us. So we can say my relatives are coming to visit, or I have many relatives that live in other countries. Of course, you can use relatives to replace the word family. So you can say my family is coming to visit or my relatives are coming to visit. But when you're using relatives, most of the time we're not talking about your mom, your dad, your sister, or your brother. So please be careful with that. It can sound strange if you refer to your mom as your relative. But it sounds completely normal if you refer to your aunts or your uncles or your cousins as your relatives. Our next word is script. Script is a noun, and a script is the written text of a play, movie, or television show. For example, actors need to study their script before they rehearse. You can think about a script as kind of a book almost. When someone is making a movie, before they can start recording the movie using a camera, they need to write what the people will say in that movie. The thing that they write is called the script. So the actors in the movie will read this script and they have to remember all of the things that they need to say. Also, when someone is giving a speech, they also have a script that they write and then they memorize it. That way they can give their speech. So again, that is called a script. Have you ever used a script to give a speech or maybe to have a show and tell? Our next word is setting. Setting is a noun, and the setting is the time and place in which something happens. For example, the setting of that book is ancient Egypt. So, here's some examples of some settings. Maybe you're reading a story and the story is happening inside of the woods or a forest. So we can say the setting is in the woods or the setting is in the forest. Or maybe the story is taking place in a magical kingdom where there's a castle. So the setting is this kingdom. Or the setting can be in a desert or even in a tent. The setting is just the place where the story or something is happening. And remember, setting is not only the location, but setting can also be the time. So is it the morning? Is it the night? Is it spring, summer, winter, or fall? All of those things are considered the setting. Our next word is shrug. Shrug is a verb and it means to raise the shoulders to show you do not know or care about something. For example, the man just shrugged when we asked him for directions. Sometimes you need to ask someone where something is, but if they don't know, then they might just shrug like this. Did you ever shrug when someone asked you a question? Our next word is teenager. Teenager is a noun, and a teenager is a person of age 13 through 19 years. Let's look at the example. She has changed a lot since she became a teenager. So when you think about the age of people, when they are this small, we often call them baby or toddler. Then as we grow up a little bit, you become a child. And as you continue to grow, you become a teenager when you are 13. So we use this word teenager because the numbers are ending in teen if you look at them carefully. 11 and 12 don't have teen, but 13 and 14, 15, all of these have teen in the ending. That is why we call them a teenager. This stops when we get to the number 20. So teenagers are just anyone who is between the age of 13 and 19. Our next word is theme. Theme is a noun, and the theme is the main subject or topic of something. Let's look at the example. The theme of this story was friendship. So often when you are reading a story, it has a theme. And the story can be talking about anything, such as friendship or love or family or money. All of these are called the theme of the story. If you think about the story, The Rainbow Fish, what do you think the theme of the story is? What is the story talking about? Well, this story is talking about friendship, about how the rainbow fish can share the scales with his friends so that his friends will be happy. So the topic of the story is teaching children how to be good friends, how to share with others. But we can also use theme to talk about something like a party. For example, if I have a party and everything in my party is Avengers, then I can say I had an Avengers themed party because all the cupcakes had Avengers pictures and the cake and the balloon and even the sign were all about Avengers. That is also called the theme. Did you ever have a party with a theme? What was the theme of your party? The next word is toss. Toss is a verb, and toss is another word we can use for throw, but it means to throw gently. So we are throwing it very carefully, very softly, not in a fast or hard way. For example, would you toss me that newspaper? And if you look at this video here, you can see the man is tossing an egg. Of course, when you toss an egg, you would throw it very gently because you don't want the egg to break. The next word is transform. Transform is a verb and it means to change the form, look, or shape of something. For example, a fresh coat of paint transformed the old house. That means that the house looked very old, but now after it has new paint, when you put paint on something, we call it a coat of paint. It's not really a coat that you wear in the winter. So just remember, coat of paint means new paint. So after the old house got some new paint, it was transformed. It didn't really change into anything, but it looked very different. Here we can see that Cinderella's dress was transformed by her fairy godmother. We can also use transform to talk about something like these robots that can transform their shape. They can change the shape into something else. So that is the word transform. Our next word is tremendous. Tremendous is an adjective and it means very large in degree or size, huge. For example, a tremendous crowd came to the sale. And tremendous is just another synonym of big. We can use words like enormous, gigantic, and huge instead of always saying big. So we can use tremendous to describe very large things such as dinosaurs. I can say dinosaurs were tremendous creatures. Can you think of any other things that are tremendous? Our next word is twice. Twice is an adverb and it means 2 times. For example, I called her twice and she answered the second time. Or I can say brush your teeth twice a day. So anytime that you do something 2 times, you can use this word twice instead of just saying 2 times. For example, you can say, I went to the store 2 times because I forgot to buy something. But instead of saying 2 times, you can use twice. You can say, I went to the store twice because I forgot to buy something. The last word is versus. Versus is a preposition and we use this word to show that 2 people or 2 teams are fighting or competing against each other. For example, it was John versus Tina in the finals of the spelling bee. You'll often hear this word versus when there is some sort of contest or sports game. For example, here we have 2 different teams. I believe it was Korea and Japan. So to use the word versus, you can say this game is Korea versus Japan. We always use versus in between the name of one team and the name of the other team, or the name of one person, such as John, and then the other person, Tina. John versus Tina. And that's all for this video. We went over the Book A, Unit 16 vocabulary words, numbers 1 through 20. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.